Hey guys, Money with Yumi here, where I talk about anything and everything related to money and how to grow your wealth. I'm sure you guys know that Elon Musk is now the richest person in the world, surpassing our friend Jeff Bezos of Amazon. And Tesla is on its way to becoming the next trillion-dollar company, joining the ranks of Amazon, Google, and Microsoft. And Amazon, Google, and Microsoft, they're all in Singapore, right? But we only see a handful of Teslas in Singapore, and it's only because of parallel imports from avid Tesla fans. You know, I've always wondered why Tesla did not make a move into Singapore, and Elon Musk tweeted about this in the past, and he blamed Singapore, probably the LTA, which is the Land Transport Authority, for being unsupportive and unwelcome to Tesla. In which Masagos Zulkifli, our Minister for Water and Environment Resources, rebutted and said that what Elon Musk wants to produce is a lifestyle. And we're not interested in a lifestyle, we're interested in proper solutions that will address climate problems. And he also said that if there's a country which can convert from petrol cars to 100% EVs, it will be Singapore. And yes, I do agree with him to a certain extent that what Elon Musk said was taken out of context, and I'll talk more about that later in my video. So if you're a Tesla fan, please don't get triggered yet, because we have to talk briefly about Singapore's situation first, since some of you guys, maybe a lot of you guys watching this may not even know. So, Singapore. Singapore is a tiny country located in Southeast Asia, and getting from one end of the country to the other takes about 1 to 1.5 hours with traffic. That's how small the country is. And it is also one of the world's most expensive places to buy a car, with only about 11% car ownership in Singapore compared to 80% in the US. And yet, you know, electric car ownerships are relatively low, less than 1% of the total vehicle population in Singapore. But even with 11% car ownership, that equates to about 1 million vehicles squeezed into this tiny island that's half the size of LA City. Yeah, not even LA County, LA City, so half the size of LA City. And about 600,000 vehicles out of this 1 million vehicle population are actually rental cars and private cars. Mr. Masagos made a great point, saying that getting a parking spot alone in Singapore is already problematic, and now if we have to say who gets that charging station, that's going to pose another problem. And Royal Dutch Shell commissioned a study that supports this. The study showed that about 52% of Singaporeans are hesitant to buy an EV because they think that there's not enough places where they can just plug in and charge their cars. You have to understand that Singapore only got its first charging station in 2019, but that quickly expanded to a total of 1,800 charging stations as of November 2020. And most of the charging stations in Singapore are currently operated by 3 companies, which is SP Group, ChargeNow, and Blue SG. And here are the number of charging stations by SP Group, and as you can see, it's quite limited compared to the ones in LA, right? Huge difference. In such a dense city state where 80% of the 6 million population are living in these high-rise public housing estates like this one, there are many factors to consider. The Singapore government said that their target is to have 28,000 charging stations in public car parks by 2030, with 2/3 of these charging stations to be located in these public housing estates across Singapore, while the rest would be located on the street, by the roadside, or in places such as government-owned car parks. The target of 28,000 doesn't include privately installed charging points such as those at the mall or by residents in a private estate. And information on the 28,000 charging stations are still quite limited. You know, will the government be installing a charging station for every single parking lot, like individual spaces in these public areas, or is it going to be a fixed amount? Okay, so let's say that's not the case, and not every single parking spot is going to have its own dedicated charging station, and every HDB parking structure is going to get like maybe 100 charging stations. Then what I'm wondering now is, like, who's going to pay for the cost of charging EVs in these public spaces, and who's going to get priority for charging? You know, is it going to be a time limit? Is it going to be outsourced to a third-party charging network where drivers pay to charge their cars, or is it going to be a flat fee? Because I highly doubt that it's going to be free. And this is important because if you're not living in a landed house in Singapore like this one, then you won't be able to charge your car with your own electricity, which is oftentimes the cheapest option compared to like paying a third-party charging station or paying for the Tesla Supercharge, which can get really expensive. And if you're living in a HDB or a condo, what are you gonna do? Well, unless you're living in like something like this where you have like a car elevator, right? Then that's a whole other story. But if not, are you gonna drop a cable from the 18th floor and then pull it to your car at the parking spot? Like, no. Would you ever do that? No one's gonna do that, right? So then would all of these costs then make sense to convert to EV? Not to mention there are a few other factors as to why the Singapore government was unsupportive of Tesla. For one, Tesla likes to sell cars on their own. In the US, they sell cars directly to customers, and this is gonna hurt car dealers in Singapore, right? And if we ban the rules for just one company who may or may not want a monopoly for EV in Singapore, then people are not going to be happy. So let's just put it that way. The other factor is the mentality of Singaporean drivers. Because cars are so expensive in Singapore, the people with the ability to buy cars in general are mostly working adults who are older in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. And they have been driving for years with traditional fuel cars. It's going to be hard for them to change their driving habits because with EVs, you can just go to a gas or petrol station to get gas or petrol right away. The light in your car shows that your tank is low, no problem. 5 minutes at the gas station, full tank, you're good to go. But with EVs, they need time to charge. And let's say you got home drunk, which you shouldn't have been driving in the first place. So let's say you got home late and you were so tired you passed out and you forgot to charge your Tesla. The next day when you want to go out, guess what happens? You can't start the car because the battery's dead, it died. So what can you do? You can only call for a taxi or Uber or Grab, right? EVs are not like your phones yet. You can just attach a portable external power bank to your EV and then just drive off, right? But it'll be interesting to see EV companies develop such a product in the future. So along with a spare tire, you're getting a free external battery charger, and it's going to be great for people who are forgetful. You know who you are. And a lot of people are talking about the battery life. They're skeptical with how EV batteries only last 6 to 8 hours, right? Singapore is so small that it's highly unlikely that you're going to be driving 6 to 8 hours straight, unless maybe you're like a rideshare driver or a taxi driver, or you're like driving somewhere far to Thailand, because even KL, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, is only 4 hours away. And that's why I agree that Singapore is the perfect guinea pig, candidate for EV cars. Like I mentioned before, we have almost 2,000 charging stations as of right now. And since we have formulated some sort of master plan to get to 28,000 charging stations by 2030, it makes sense for Tesla to come into Singapore now. In June of 2020, Tesla listed some jobs in Singapore on LinkedIn, mainly for servicing and repairs, such as a parts advisor, service advisor, service manager, vehicle readiness specialist, and vehicle service technician. But Tesla and the Singapore government are keeping it under the wraps and did not comment on whether Tesla is finally coming to Singapore, but one can only guess that since they're hiring, they're likely to expand to Singapore. And based on my amazing deduction skills, I can confirm with 100% guarantees that Tesla is in fact coming to Singapore. Okay, well, maybe I saw it on Tesla's website that the target date is to be confirmed.
But Yumi, why are you talking about Tesla? Why does it matter? It's just a car company.
Yes, Tesla is a company, but it's a revolutionary company. And it matters because Finance Minister Heng Swee Keat said in 2020 that Singapore aims to phase out petrol and diesel vehicles by 2040, making a bigger bet on electric cars as part of Singapore's efforts to cut down greenhouse gases and fight climate change. This makes Singapore the first Southeast Asian country to announce a time frame for phasing out traditional vehicles by 2040. So with Tesla being one of the major players in the EV market around the world, this is great news for all the Tesla fans in Singapore. I think after 2020, with all the news surrounding Tesla and Elon Musk, everyone now knows about Elon Musk and Tesla. And with all that fame and branding, we're definitely going to be seeing more Teslas on the road in Singapore very soon. Probably in the next few years, I can promise you that. And why? Because Tesla did an amazing job with marketing and branding. If you talk about electric vehicles, Tesla is going to be the first one that most people think about. It doesn't really matter if they are the best EV company out there or make the best EV car. It's kind of like Apple and their iPhones. There are plenty of loyal Apple fans out there that will only use Apple phones regardless of the price, specs, and functionality. Companies like Samsung or even Huawei would have like better phones out there, but people are sticking with their iPhones, right? Because they associate with the brand and have this brand loyalty there. And that's the power of branding. They believe in the company, they believe in the leaders running the company, they believe the brand itself, like what it means to own a Tesla car or an Apple iPhone, and of course the product itself. And I do foresee Tesla being like Apple, but for cars. It's already happening here in the US and it will eventually happen in Singapore. And personally, I think that if I'm gonna get a new car, you can bet that I'm gonna get a Tesla. And let's talk about pricing. How much would Tesla cost in Singapore? If Tesla makes a move to Singapore, it will start in the low 200,000s for the lower end models and all the way up to the 400,000s for the higher end models. The estimated total cost for a Tesla Model 3 Standard H Plus in Singapore is about $154,000 without COE. And with COE prices hovering at around $40,000, it will cost you about $200,000 with COE to own a Tesla Model 3. That's about 151,000 US dollars. Mind blowing. I can own 2 Teslas here in LA. And if you're looking for a basic Model X, be prepared to spend about $450,000 or 343,000 US dollars with COE. And if you're wondering why I'm talking about Tesla and my channel where I talk a lot about saving and investing your money and buying a car in Singapore is definitely not one of the things I'm gonna ask anyone to do ever. But if, and that's a huge if you need a car and you're considering buying one, then maybe Tesla is perfect for you because think about all that fuel money you're gonna be saving. And that's what I like about EVs in America. Now, there are a ton of charging stations in a lot of places and they offer free charging. Like if I go to Whole Foods and do my grocery shopping, I can charge my car for free. And that's the whole point. It's free. And I can potentially see this happening in Singapore. Some malls offering either free parking or discounted parking, so you're more inclined to park there and shop at their malls. So if you're cheap like me, I'm gonna be thinking like how much gas or fuel money I'm gonna be saving by driving an electric car. And if certain malls or grocery stores are gonna be offering free charging, that's where I'm gonna go from now on. And I'm not saying that you can save money by going electric out of nowhere. This is backed up by a recent research conducted by a team at MIT. They calculated both the carbon dioxide emissions and full lifetime costs, including purchase price, maintenance, and fuel for nearly every new car model on the market, and this is what they found. Electric cars have the lowest cost and emissions over time. Singapore will also make electric vehicles or EVs more attractive and announce new incentives for electric vehicle buyers starting from this year, 2021 to 2025. To encourage Singaporeans to make the shift towards electric vehicles, a 45% registration fee rebate capped at $20,000 will also be given to any purchase of fully electric cars or taxis. So expect to get about $25,000 in total rebates on the Tesla Model S Standard. And even though it may seem like a hefty price tag to own a Tesla in Singapore, it is still slightly cheaper than the BMW 330i or the Mercedes C200. With more charging stations and rebates from the government, it would definitely make Singaporeans more inclined to buy an EV car. And if you're interested to know, for full disclosure, I do own Tesla and NIO stocks, which went up like crazy in 2020. And I do feel strongly that the world is trying to make a shift towards EV vehicles in the next 20 to 30 years. So no matter what the price is for Tesla and NIO in the short term, it may go up like 1000%, I am still not selling. It's going to be really interesting to see how Singapore will make the shift towards being 100% EV. There's so much the government has to do, changes got to be made, but if Tesla and maybe other EV companies like NIO, for example, can work with the Singapore government to plan and execute this well, this is definitely going to be a game changer. I really do think that Singapore has the potential to be the first country in the world to be 100% EV. That means no more traditional fuel vehicles on the road forever. And with that said, that's all I have for today. If you like my video and my content, please destroy the like button and subscribe to my channel and ring the bell icon so you get notified whenever I post a new video. And feel free to follow me on my Instagram. Alright guys, have a great day and I'll see you again next time.